Your Biz community, it's Seth, and I have the great pleasure on tonight's Creator Highlight episode to be joined by Maren Altman. You know her, you've seen her around, you've probably heard her talking to you about, at least at the time of recording, Mercury being in retrograde and all kinds of things that you need to be aware of if you follow astrology or if you do moon charting. And even if you don't, I think she'd probably tell you that you really need to be adding this. Maren, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure. I think we've been threatening to do something that's like outside of BitBoy's channel or off of Around the Blockchain for a little bit of time. And I don't think we've had any overlap at any IRL events yet, but who knows? 2022 is not over yet. So maybe before the year's end.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay, let me, for the benefit of my audience that doesn't follow you yet, who is Maren in a nutshell? Or I guess maybe I'll ask, who was Maren before crypto entered in a big way into your life?
I was always that weird astrology girl. Growing up, I learned nonstop. Anything I could get my hands on astrology-wise, I was obsessed with. Then I went on for most of my life to be focused on acting, and I actually went to New York University initially for acting. After being there a little bit, I decided that I wanted to study philosophy, that fit my interests and who I was a little bit better. And it backed up my study of astrology because I got to investigate the history, metaphysical claims, theories around that. And I happened to find crypto in the vein of predicting world events with astrology, because that was always more my focus than personality astrology, was more of the entire world events and cycles that I could see happening repeatedly and predict. And I found finance and crypto through that. So I guess very typical avenue, like everyone finds crypto this way.
Yeah, right. That's true. Especially in today's world, it does seem like all roads lead to crypto or NFTs, depending on what side of commerce or the arts that you're into. So yeah, even people who are kind of diehards, I think holdouts have succumbed to NFTs at this point. They're at least realizing that there will be a reality where they have to interact with NFTs bare minimum. Yeah. So that's awesome to hear. Okay, so that was kind of Maren before crypto. Let's talk about what we'll leave out the whole like getting acquainted with crypto and what your onboarding was like. Let's jump to the forward to the point where it became like the event horizon around a black hole and you realized there was no escape. What did that look like for you?
That looked like my birthday in 2020. I remember because I found crypto as I was graduating from NYU, basically the first semester of 2020. I started reading everything I could around like Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I read all these real estate rental things and I was like, Dad, this is so cool. Why hasn't anyone taught me about this? And he's like, I didn't think you would care at all. Like it was a very funny moment because my dad works in real estate and has worked in finance before. And I didn't learn anything. I literally didn't know even how to open a bank account. So when I was opening a bank account in May 2020, I started to realize there were just a lot of weirdness, inconsistencies. I accidentally put nearly everything I had into a Tesla call option. I still to this day don't really mess with options because I don't understand them quite as well as I do like short-term derivatives trading. So somehow that worked out very well. But I once I was literally searching for like banking alternatives, like what do I do? Because this is just madness. I found crypto very heavily summer 2020, and around my birthday, August 2020 was when I was beginning to trade and make videos about it, and no one cared because my TikTok was about like the 2020 election and Bitcoin's bull run hadn't really started yet. But it's when I began talking about like, whoa, you can look at this transit always correlates with this. I've been using these indicators and this is so cool. It's when I began to be excited enough to talk about it, when I realized like, oh no, like you really like this, because it was one thing to be kind of into it myself, another thing to be like, I'm gonna throw this into my content, because yeah, it was quite different to be open about it.
That's awesome. Okay, so it sounds like then, I mean, as of the time of recording, you barely just crossed 2 years of doing content that is crypto related then, and it sounds like your exposure to crypto and that sort of that point of no return moment, it didn't happen all that much longer before you started doing the content. It sounds like as a content creator, at least this is my read on you, is that you tend to be very generous. The moment that you realize that something is of benefit in your life, you try to share it with your audience just as soon as you can. It sounds like that was not a very big gap between your like real discovery and then sharing that with your audience.
Yeah, I am so much of an open book to where I don't really think, not like if something I want to say anything, it's just like camera. So as soon as I was like, oh wow, Bitcoin is cool, and then I fell into, I don't want to say like the Bitcoin maxi rhetoric because they have a fucking point. I agree with them, but I fell into like the buzzwords and like the inflation hedge, not just like all these weird things that. Yes, okay, I understand, but I was like verbatim poster child, but I was also trading. And so I realized that maybe I didn't really fit into the, like, you have to hold this and never touch it kind of line of things. But I began talking about like decentralization. I didn't really, at the time, I was really stupid about it. I don't even know what I was saying, but I just was kind of reiterating it. So I definitely did, as soon as I got into it, begin to share it, and began to realize that there were financial astrologers who were tracking mostly other like traditional equities, but that I wasn't alone in this, that this was something that plenty of other people have come to realize also is trackable in cycles. And that just further, once Doge started blowing up, my older videos talking about Doge blowing up started blowing up. So then I was like, oh God, this is just like a total meme. I'm going to run with it.
Got it. You became like the high priestess of Doge, basically, at that point, like retroactively.
I remember being like, I remember calculating how many people we would need to buy on a certain price to get it to $1. Like, I remember just calculating all that out. And I was like, if all my viewers buy this much, we can do it. And the video was taken down for like promoting financial services. But like that video blew up before that. And that's when I began to realize like what I could and couldn't say online too.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like it was a kind of a dual awakening, sort of an awakening to the power of crypto in your life, but also the awakening to the power of your platform in the crypto sphere. You kind of those things were combined, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was two genuine interests that were not, I mean, like, it's me, so like I'm just gonna do whatever I want. And combining the two happened to work out well. It wasn't something that needed to be like isolated in both worlds. Okay,
awesome. Well, that's great. Yeah, I know a lot of people. I mean, it's so different for every single person, right? There are things that kind of cement you. I'm going to misattribute this quote, but I'm a strong believer in the maxim that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get into a pursuit for the wrong reason, as long as you stay in it for the right reason, right? Don't just blindly follow a path for just because you were like, oh well, I was duped into it, or whatever. Like I chanced upon it. It was luck. But it sounds like you absolutely stayed in crypto for the right reasons. You did realize you had a platform. You did realize there was power in what you were promoting, and then that there were real that it was rooted in some kind of a grounding principle of truth, right? You were actually exposing people to something that could help them, and because it helped you. So that's awesome. So
I found it quite strange that when I started talking about crypto, it was immediately like scammer. Like I didn't understand that. Like fundamentally, I was like, what's going on? Like, and now obviously I do, with like pump and dump promos, influencers really being out of line. But at the time, I remember being so confused because I genuinely did think that it was going to help people in a similar way that I think knowledge of astrology can help people better prepare. So I found both to be things that helped me. I want to help other people.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, scammer and pump and dump and scam, these are words that are sometimes used inappropriately in crypto Twitter, certainly. And yeah.
Dislike me. Don't call me a scammer. Just say you dislike me. Like, know, it's just stupid. Yeah.
Right. You're right. Everyone's grown up. You can handle being told that not everyone likes you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Scammer, probably not so much. So right. Now I'm curious, bringing up that whole like the social aspect of being in the crypto sphere and having people say that they either like you or they prefer your content, or I've gotten weird stuff about like you remind me of my ex, so that's a thumbs down, right? Whatever it is, like it can be a really bad thing. People get very visceral responses from certain things. Here it comes, the big question about being a woman in blockchain, crypto, NFTs, Web3, Bitcoin, etc. But I'm not going to ask the traditional one because it's always, I feel like there's a frame that goes along with that I don't think is totally appropriate. I want to ask you, what are the questions that more people should be asking with regard to women in this vertical?
That's a very good question. I think the question that you would ask anyone else. I think that just treatment as another member of the space, not any questions that are giving any more, I'll be honest, giving any more favoritism or also being demeaning in a way. I think that there is a lack of middle ground as just what can you contribute on a business technical level. Like, just ask me questions as a boss, employee, coworker, any fucking thing that you would ask anyone else in my position. I think that there is quite unnecessary favoritism and like walking on eggshells around women in the space. Like, I'm not fucking oppressed. I'm not target. Like, just please treat me like a normal person. If anything, I'm given unnecessary favoritism. Be harder on me. There's plenty of men that don't get the acknowledgement and do 50 million times the amount of work I do, and I work hard. So like, I take more of the route of like, just don't even try to accommodate. Just be upfront and frank and ask whatever you want of me as you would like a male in my position. I do think that it can like there are a louder minority that are just kind of disgusting towards women, but that there's much more favoritism, so that I just block, don't pay attention to that. I think the question I would want more people to ask women in crypto is any other question that you would ask fucking anyone in any other position, basically.
Okay, great. And I mean, I'll ask you how you really feel in a minute, but there was an associated question on that, which was, what questions do you think people should stop asking with regard to women being in this vertical and blockchain and NFTs, et cetera? And be specific if you can, like, because I know that there's a lot of weird shit that people just say, like, well, obviously you as a woman, like you hold all this knowledge, and so they bring the same one over and over to you. What needs to just go away?
Asking women, like, what they would, I think we should stop asking women just only what challenges they face, only what's wrong in the space, only the bad experiences they've had with men, only the ways that they feel like, because I think that when you're only asking, not that you shouldn't ask those, I know that most women probably think of it very differently than me. I don't know. I just didn't think of myself as like, I grew up around like businessmen. Like, I don't have fucking time to be like, you want to talk about me, whatever. Okay, do that online and then watch me in a video. I'm not like whatever you're saying. I think that if you're going to talk about challenges and you're going to talk about issues that women feel in the space, also ask what favoritism they're getting. What opportunities do you get just because you're a fucking woman? I'm asked every single day, do you want to be on a woman's panel? Fuck no, I don't want to be on your woman's panel. Give me my own talk or don't ask me at all. So I think asking, what they shouldn't ask is only asking about the challenges, almost in this poor you sense, because that doesn't help anyone. Also ask them about what they like, what they would, what they enjoy, like what they would want. So I think if you're going to ask about the challenges and like, I don't know, oppression or something, also ask about what they're doing well or what they enjoy about being a woman in the space and the opportunities they get.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, just to respond to your response to what you said so far, I think every person who I know who is motivated and serious and successful in the space, whether they're a man or a woman, actually seems to share your opinion there. Yeah. That's kind of the behind the scenes info there.
Yeah, and it could be like, I mean, the reality of it could be different. And if you added it up, it could be vastly more people do either dislike or speak in a demeaning way. I feel like I've been given unnecessary opportunity, favoritism, all these things, and I feel I need to work harder in order to do this in eyeliner, in service to others. So yeah, no one I know who's also successful has any time to play like victim, basically.
Awesome. So the key takeaway I'm getting from this also is that I should probably try eyeliner to see if I can get away with it, just in case.
I like everyone in eyeliner. I think it just improves everyone. Eyeliner and long hair on everyone.
Okay, I am told that I have an unfair advantage because I have really prominent eyelashes, so I almost don't need it.
I'm very jealous of that. Mine are blonde and short, so I did lose out on that.
Okay, well, I'll try it anyway. One of these days, we'll see if my audience picks it up. But okay, challenge accepted there. Now, I'm going to jump back to something that's a little bit, it might come across as a little bit petty, but we talked about it before we kind of got rolling with the interview, in kind or in earnest here. You wear red a lot, and this sounds like a petty thing. It's not. It's a branding thing, I think. But red is clearly your branded color. What is your favorite color? Like, actually favorite color? Is it also red, or do you like something else more?
No, my favorite color is red. I wore it like all through my adolescence before I even blew up. And then people are like, oh, good marketing, good branding. I'm like, it's just fucking me. But I do really like it. I think about wearing other colors. And I'm like, no, decision fatigue. Like, just stick to red. So I'm in my childhood bedroom right now with like just red everywhere. And this was painted this was not painted. This was painted like over a decade ago. So I would have been under 14. So like not really quite in the red stage because I was wearing whatever my parents bought me. But I genuinely like red. Other colors are fine, but like, no, not for me.
Okay, awesome. Well, that answers that. I thought for sure it was going to be like, actually secretly it's green. It's like the polar opposite, right? The complementary swatch. Be like, no, it's green.
I actually really don't like greens. Like if I see green, I'm just like, that's a shitty color. Like any other color is fine.
Got it. That's some interesting feng shui there too. And I don't know if you follow, but interesting feng shui that you despise green and you really like red.
Yeah, like my eyes are yellow green, and I prefer it when the yellow is much more prominent. Like if there's a lot of green, I'm like, it looks a little too approachable.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, that definitely does answer that, and I won't like try to pretend like there's some kind of like deeper meaning there. There really isn't. But feng shui, like I'm sure you're familiar at least somewhat of the significance of the colors within feng shui, right? Green versus red, and the power of each and what they represent there. If not, maybe we'll do a follow up at some point. We'll talk more about it. But yeah, killer stuff. That's awesome. In what ways has your expertise, if any, what was your expertise in astrology been a hindrance in this industry or in this vertical? We kind of talked about that briefly before, but is there anything that like really stands out as a big experience?
I think that when you're any type of exotic character or strategy, particularly in a very serious space, so to speak, you get to virality easily, but it's difficult to maintain that virality or be taken seriously. So even though there are, I'd say, older and male financial astrologers, that's kind of the combo where it's taken a little more seriously. They don't reach the virality or the memes or the reactions. And even though those things can be very difficult in the moment because they can be overwhelming for the nervous system, and it's not natural for anyone to be seen with so many eyes with such insane reactions. In order to have an impact, an amount of virality is necessary, but maintaining that and being taken seriously due to being so strange is difficult. So I'd say that astrology itself has helped, along with me being me, has just helped the very fast like ascent, but maintaining that in an astrology strategy that's fairly exotic is, I guess, difficult because you have to make it approachable, engaging, and you can't just have the same. And also with astrology being temporally relevant, you can't reuse the same thing you said 2 weeks ago necessarily. So I think that's been the one hindrance on a business level. Now on a trading level, because of the complications of it, like I do kind of everything by hand. Like I just type out what I see. So I can literally just write the wrong planet or angle. And usually when I'm wrong, it's because I've written or like I'm doing so much that I'm just incorrect and careless. So that's been the hindrance in that way versus a lot of people in the strategy they're using is completely algorithmic or automated. And I'm working on that. But for now, still by hand kind of.
Got it. Okay, so you're not okay with there being any kind of script or an AI that you've taught with the data set of Maren's handwritten notes just yet, but it sounds like you're.
It's algos take a while, but that's my project, so we're working on it.
Okay, very cool. Best of luck with that. Godspeed. That's like you said, not easy stuff. I take it then you have a developer team. Are they kind of blockchain specific, or is it something that you're contracting outside?
We're launching on ETH by the end of the year with our first lunar trading product. This is for my project Astrace. So we're putting astrology into an algorithm that can power both financial and non-financial apps like vaults or daily horoscopes. So it'll all be on chain. It'll be launched on ETH. And yeah, we're developers. It's been quite a year doing this and doing content at the same time.
Jeez, I can only imagine because I know how prolific you are on the content side. So I'm looking forward to that. That sounds really exciting. Let me ask on that same vein, has astrology ever gotten in the way of you seeing something that in retrospect you thought should have been a simple decision?
No, I'd say that I'm not an indecisive person who overthinks. And I know people that use astrology that are, and it is not a help to them to have more perspective. Like that can just I tend to be I don't really regret things. I just like make a decision and move on. If it doesn't work out, okay, fuck that. So I'd say no, but that's me specific.
Okay, got it. It sounds like you've got a very highly trained sensibility for, well, not just the tools, but as you mentioned, being a decisive person to begin with, the tools you seem to favor, I guess. Is there a process then that allows you to kind of move at the speed of decisiveness that's already kind of, feels comfortable?
I think of it. I found that I have a very strange way of living life compared to others where I'm very fearful of regret and I'm fearful of wasting time. I don't think I'm motivated in the same way of like pleasure seeking. I am like, if I don't make this day excellent, wasted day, might as well have not had that calendar day included type of thing. So being indecisive, I can think of very few cases where that helps someone. Unless you're a kind, considerate person in like a caretaking situation where you really need to weigh out options. I'm not. So like, I feel like making a decision is better than being like wasting my time. And if I truly am like, I literally don't care, I usually pick the alphabetical higher version because my last name comes first in the alphabet. So I have a little bit of bias.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Then you do have a process to fall back on if you ever are feeling the tiniest bit indecisive. Then it sounds like.
Because I'm never going to be the person who's like, because it's so annoying when, I don't know, someone's like, what do you want to eat? And both people are like, I don't care. I'm like, what did you say? Thai, Japanese, hot, like yeah. And then either weigh itself out usually, and the other option will get chosen eventually. But like, I don't have time to be like, I don't know. Like that just helps no one.
Well, decision fatigue is a very real thing. I mean, it's written about pretty extensively in the literature now. I mean, it wasn't something that was as frequently studied, but I mean, with so much stuff vying for our attention, like I do get that. That does make sense, and that's really cool that's something that you espouse every day to practice the excellence of just like moving in a direction. So kudos for that. Let me ask on the so an example of false positives that maybe you haven't fallen prey to, but false positives that you see, maybe just like we'll call them noob mistakes, but maybe they're not noob mistakes within astrology, but it's false positives that you see others commit when they turn to astrology, and then they're like, you know what, I keep on getting kind of like, wrecked, or they keep messing up. What are the most common problems people fall into?
Yeah, I'd say that unless you understand what you can consider the language or the geometry behind astrology, it's going to be a little weird to have one indicator of astrology that you use. What I mean by this is that the moon is a pretty reliable 2-week indicator of we're going to go up and then down, or we're going to go down and then up, depending on the new or the full moon. If you're using that alone without weighing out any other planetary cycle, that's you can't really do that. Like, it requires context. So even though I am known as a meme for like trading with the moon, it's truly not that simple. Those are pivot dates, but I have to weigh out everything else going on. All the planets are always moving, and they're making geometric aspects to one another. So unless you understand basic aspects, these geometric aspects, you cannot weigh everything out together. And I can be wrong in my weighing out, but I'm not wrong in identifying the literal geometry that's going on. Like, that's math. So I'd say that the issue is often that someone is trying to trade the moon alone, for example, or any other cycle alone, but everyone knows the moon basically, and not realize that like there's 10 planets that we're looking at in aspect to one another. You can't really isolate it and be like, oh, this is foolproof.
Got it. Okay, so you're saying then I can't just use the Farmer's Almanac and be like, okay, this is my trading Bible now. That's pretty much only good for my garden. Exactly. Okay. Well, shucks. I really thought I was onto something. I was about to start selling a book that was like, all right, hey, Maren. I was going to rename it like Maren's algorithm is bunk. Just use the Farmer's Almanac, but my hopes are dashed now. That's awesome, though. So it sounds like context matters. That's what I'm taking away from that, and that you do need to really dig in to the rest of the aspects that you mentioned of the 10 planets, specifically lunar charting. I guess it sounds like that's a misnomer. I think a lot of people, when they look at your content, they walk away from it, if it's the first exposure, thinking, oh yeah, she's a lunar charting gal, and that's all they get. Is that kind of like the experience that you have of people who are just kind of getting initiated? Yeah, if people find me through crypto and they don't know astrology, they generally say like, oh, she trades with the moon. And I'm like, that's like saying that I eat vegetables only or something just kind of weird. That like, oh, you're vegan, you must only eat lettuce. Like that kind of thing, where it's like, I do use that, but like, I'm not like, it's very simplistic, and I just usually nod and smile, versus if someone comes from astrology into crypto, they immediately know that the moon is like one of a vocabulary of dozens of things. So I'll take the meme, but it's made it a little bit difficult in explaining my project and fundraising, because they're like, oh, so like moon trading, and then they see everything and they get overwhelmed and scared. So yeah, I keep the meme, but like the moon is not what I'm looking at on a daily basis. I look at it twice a month. Okay, so knowing that you're a builder and you're a content creator, and you're having to balance both the memetics and the virality of attention, right, and the attention economy, but you're also building over here, and you are getting those pitch meetings, occasionally maybe asking people for money. I know we can't talk about that here, right, in a public-facing interview, but you may be having those meetings since you're building. I mean, how do you approach that? How do you marry, so to speak, the virality and the memetics to the elevator pitch? What has that process been like for you? I think because everyone who encounters me or meets me or even watches my videos generally sees that like I'm just really dry and serious. Even my videos, like I feel like some of the virality is the fact that I don't have time to, or maybe I do have the time, but not that. That's just not me to be bubbly TikTok dance, even like overtly nice. I just straightforward. So I think that more often than not, the inverse, where someone might be expecting me to be a pushover, or like the stereotypical like woman in a meeting who's, I don't know, there for like emotional support good guy, and I'm there like completely trying to explain our development, our use case, our clear products, our metrics. I think that can be a little jarring with the cognitive dissonance that assumed that I might be a face, but not actually behind everything. So it's usually not about me balancing who I am, because I'm just me 100% of the time. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't blow up, whatever.
But I think some of the difficulty has been, how do I come off a little bit more approachable, not in like a way where I have to fall back and be like, oh, like this is me, but like actually know how do I maintain myself but not scare people off with how I think it's been compensation throughout my life of like, oh, you're like small girl person, like you got to be like the absolute most alpha in the room. I think that can be a disservice at this point. So I think it's been less about marrying the meme and like the seriousness of just like being a little calmer, not having to be just complete like I am serious, take me seriously in all aspects of my life, because that's just unnecessary.
Got it. Okay. I think what I'm taking away from this is that you're learning how to sell software. It sounds like in the pitch room.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I've been sent things that people have said after these meetings, and usually they go really well. I've never had like a bad pitch or anything, but I have had people send me, because they're in a group or something, people be like, I'm scared of this bitch. Like I don't know how to respond to that. So yeah,
I mean, it sounds like, I mean, when you get those, you're like, all right, cool, mission accomplished, nice. Like right. they we understand each other. I'm not sign the check.
Right.
Yeah, jokes, but yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine that would be a very unique challenge. This is one of those things where like I try to be really careful about like making assumptions, as you saw with the previous question about like everybody's unique challenges, right? This is just a personality thing. Some people, there are plenty of dudes, right, who just don't know how to balance who they are between being approachable and networking and then getting shit done, right? Like that can be a problem. I think just a human problem of personality types and getting done what you need. But it sounds like in your case, there are a lot more sort of preconceived notions because of that media stream and because of the memetics and the virality. So best of luck with that. Also, it seems like it's an ongoing challenge for everybody trying to figure out like how you close at a higher rate. You're never going to win them all, right? But maybe improving your close rate just a little bit by balancing whatever it is you need. So yeah, best of luck there. Let me ask a couple more questions that are kind of related to Maren Altman Inc., right? And everything that you're building right now. I don't know the name. I apologize. I don't know the name of your industry.
Astrace, or my industry, Astro Crypto, I guess you could say.
Awesome. Okay, and I don't know the name of your business interest. It's called Astro.
Astrace.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you for indulging me there. Thank you and pardon my ignorance. Let me ask you, what is Maren's one true wish? Be real, like very, very real. I'm asking for a little bit of vulnerability here. I know that can be difficult for most people, but in a perfect world, what do you want out of all this stuff? Like looking back at it all, 50 years from now or however long before you decide to retire, when you're looking back, you're like, okay, cool, I've arrived. What does that look like? What does that mean to you?
I hope to challenge people to have a different philosophical view on the world. Not a specific one. I just hope that something I'm doing is a catalyst for people to examine their surroundings in the world a little bit more, because I think that inquiry and question and debate leads to a lot better conclusions than just sitting with something and not questioning it. That gets stale. So I hope that by being a strange juxtaposition of several things, that I can lead people to challenge their world and by virtue of that, improve it a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. So I like that. A little bit of disruption then. Yeah. Very, very cool. Some big wins, milestones that you've had so far. I know you mentioned there's some things that you're working on right now that might be a little bit stealth. Maybe there is something you can talk about though that are kind of bigger milestones that for you have felt really gratifying.
Yeah. So making a living off of this about 1.5 years ago when I started, that felt really gratifying, because I never had a 9 to 5, but I was doing one-on-one astrology readings to pay for everything. And I still off and on, when I want to, I'll open up some, I'll do them. But the demand of like, I have to fit this hourly quota every month to be able to live is just, it's very energetically draining. And doing that on top of what I used to do was like 3 readings in a row, so 3 hours in the middle of the day. I then would script content during the afternoon and I would film at night. And I did that basically every day. And then morning was like workout time. So it was just really insane. A good point was realizing that like through my trading and through at the time the bull market of just investing, I could live off of this. And that felt very gratifying. Buying a property with crypto felt really gratifying, because like I just never thought I'd be able to do that. And then I did it. And now I'm trying to sell it because I'd just rather put that somewhere else, actually. But the act of it was pretty cool. And then recently with Astrace, we're not really stealth. I just have prioritized making sure that we have a lot of things to show rather than market without a product or anything to show. My CTO, Sasha, has worked extensively on the correlation between certain astrological cycles in the market and had really impressive data write-ups of like all the correlation and the exact statistics of it. So that's felt really cool to see, like, wow, what I do and what I've been saying, this works. Look at me doing it. No, like literally she has put out write-ups that smart people can understand. Like that's really cool. So that's felt kind of like little Maren, like big Maren progression.
Awesome. Okay, and then what are some upcoming big dates that, whether it is for the tech products that you're working on, or just big dates that you think people should be aware of? As of the time of recording, right, today is September 22nd, just for the audience's benefit. What are some upcoming big dates that you think that the audience should be aware of? And it can be totally like self-promotion and shilling on your part if you want, and have nothing to do with any kind of like astrological dates.
Yeah, I don't have anything coming up personally. I mean, I just like do whatever I want, so I don't really have any launch. I don't have. I mean, we will be launching our Astrace first vaults in October, but we don't have an exact date yet. There's an eclipse coming October 25th, and then there will be another eclipse November 8th that look. I'm not the astrologer with the good news usually. Plus, this astrology is not good, but like these eclipses look horrendous, not just for the market, but like I have a video coming out tonight on like just the astrology of that in geopolitical stuff. Just October, November, peak drama. So that's what I would say.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, I thought with Mercury in retrograde now through the beginning of October, I thought there were already going to be some problems to be faced. But you're saying that outside of, I guess, communication problems, I am paying attention to some of your content, by the way. So outside of this communication issues of Mercury being in retrograde, more drama on top afterwards.
Yeah. So Mercury retrograde is kind of like, oh, my text didn't send. Oh, I'm late. It's like minor inconvenience. It's not. I think that there's going to be like specific extreme war related world conflict like that. Mercury retrograde is like minor inconvenience. This is like actually very difficult.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll take that very seriously, and I will mark the calendar, and I'll coach the wife and kids too. Be like, all right, there you go, big red letters. Awesome. And then I guess the last question, well, last two questions. What was the question that I didn't ask that I should have asked? Because we spent about an hour together so far, and I mean, this is a golden opportunity for me. So help me not waste it.
I'd say that a good question I often like to explain is how I use astrology with TA, because it's not possible to just trade based on astrology. You can make market calls based on astrology, but you cannot go into an exchange and understand what a limit order, market orders, you can't understand that without actual TA. So I like to clarify that astrology will give me a certain bias for a time frame of what price action I'm expecting. Based on the price action I'm expecting, I then execute a trade based on TA, which for me is support, resistance, and moving averages generally. So like you can't just trade based on astrology. You can say that tagline, whatever, but like you actually need TA to make the trade. You can make calls based on astrology. You have to trade based on TA.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying that you really do need to be multidisciplinary. And that was the question that I should have asked is astrology enough? And you're saying the answer is definitively no for crypto.
Yeah, you can make calls, you can make predictions, but actually executing that, you need to know how to use an exchange and have like financial literacy for how to execute that trade.
Got it. Okay, great. Appreciate you kind of setting the record straight there. That's a really great way to underscore, I think the hour. And let me ask, as far as where people can find you online, what are the best places for people to interact with you? Or I guess where on the internet should people go? And what do you want them to do when they get there?
So my biggest platforms are TikTok with YouTube as a second. TikTok is like vast majority of my audience, like 90 whatever fucking percent. TikTok is the most fun. TikTok is the best. Everyone else kind of sucks. YouTube is what I generally enjoy the most for long form content. I haven't really in the last few months had that much to say on Twitter. I just find it to be a cesspool, and I just don't have anything valuable to say there. But you can find me on every platform, Maren Altman. I like Instagram because pictures, but I have more to say in videos, which I post there too. But I'd say TikTok's my favorite, but if you really need to reach me, probably my Instagram DMs are the best. Like those are ones I actually read. I don't respond to all of them because a lot of you guys are weird, not even creepy weird, just like you don't make sense weird. But that's probably the best way to read, or email me, just like any of the emails that go to my like assistant and then goes to me. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, Maren, I really appreciate you making time for this, and I really appreciate you setting the record straight. And I cannot wait to introduce you to the Mind Your Biz audience. Thanks so much for carving out this time to hang with us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciated it.